Okay, so after we have finished pre-sterilization procedures, now it's time to actually sterilize our instruments. We have a couple different methods of sterilizing. We have our autoclaves, which we have two. This is our small one. This is our large one. It's kind of hard to fit cassettes in here, so usually we just use pouched instruments. But we also have our Statum, and I'll talk about that in our next video. So if we're looking at the autoclave here, this is, before we start anything, we need to look at the water level. And there's a green and there's a red. We always want the water level in this tube to be in the green. That means it'll have enough water to heat sterilize the full cycle of instruments. If we don't have enough water, we're going to use some water here from our water distiller, and we're going to fill up this little watering can. And we're going to bring it over here and pour the water into this spout. And as you're pouring, you'll see the water level rise in the tube. And that's plenty. Now, before we put any instruments in, we're going to want to put in our integrator strip. And now this is the strip that I mentioned in the last video that has the metal backing, and it has a white indicator in the center. We're going to put our initials and the date on the strip for monitoring purposes, and we're going to place the strip in the center of one of the autoclaves. So in the center rack, right in the middle, and that should be good. Then we're going to put in our instruments. Now when putting in your instruments, we want to put them in paper side down, plastic side up, and that is so that when the heat is steaming, the heat sterilizing it, water that collects will be able to exit through the paper side and not collect in the plastic side. So we're going to place these paper side down neatly onto the tray, and you don't want the instruments overlapping at all because then it won't heat sterilize them properly. So nice and neat, nicely spaced, and you don't want it up, up here like this. You want it nice and centered on the tray. So that's enough for that tray. And it's okay to place the instruments right on top of the integrator strip. That's fine. That's going to happen. It's not a big deal. So that looks good for this autoclave. Now we're going to close this up, and notice that it's not locking. So we need to lift the handle and push until it goes back down and doesn't open. So now I know it's locked, and we have a few different buttons up here that we're going to use to sterilize, that you'll use frequently. Most often you'll either be pushing pouches or you're going to be pushing packs. In this case, you choose whatever you have the most of inside here. So we have all pouches, so I would push pouches, and you would hear a little beep, and then I would hit start. If I had mostly cassettes, I'd hit packs and then start. And once you hit start, you'll hear another beep, and it'll say heating up. And once it's ready to start sterilizing, it'll say sterilizing, and you'll hear it buzz. After you have sterilized your instruments, this will pop out, this door will pop out, and steam will be coming out of here. So you don't want to touch it right away because it's very hot. So you'll let it complete its drying cycle. It'll say air drying. And if you need to, we have some pot holders here that you can use to pull the trays out. And you want to make sure that these have been sterilized properly. So a couple things we're looking at here, like for example on the pouches, there is a color changing indicator on the pouch. It would have turned from blue to a dark brown or a black. So this one has changed. You want to make sure everything in here has changed color. With cassettes, now this is the old way we used to wrap them, so just ignore that and use the way I showed you in the other video. You can see the sterilizing tape is turned into with the black stripes here. So that has been properly sterilized. The biggest thing we want to look at is our used indicator strips. So you want to see this strip turn completely blue all the way down. Now sometimes we would see where everything's blue until the very bottom or the corner here or something like that is still white. That is not proper heat sterilization, so you do need to alert us if that has happened. But we want to see that it's fully blue all the way down the line. That shows us it's heat sterilized properly. And then we're going to just collect everything out of here, and we will place it where it's supposed to go on the clean side. And that's autoclave.